You may notice that today's discussion about the case ends rather abruptly. This was thanks to a noisy pupper in the house who we thought you wouldn't be able to hear on the track. However, you could. So we had to cut a lot of what we said out. It was things that we were reiterating, things that had already been said, so you've not missed out on anything except for the really aggravating noise of Pepper. So just to let you know, sorry about that. I'm Jem.
And I'm Victoria.
And this is The Criminal Crack. I was trying to make it spooky.
I was trying to make it Halloweeny. That didn't really work.
Yours was more Christmassy.
Oh, was it a bit ho ho ho?
Yeah. Yeah, ho ho ho.
Ho ho. Oh, Thundercats, ho! Sorry. Anyway, how are you?
We don't own the rights to Thundercats.
Yet.
How am I? How am I?
Oh, I know how you are. You're broken.
I'm broken. In the last episode, I do recall saying that I had a sore shoulder and I've been laid up. Well, I'm not laid up, I'm still moving it about, but the doctor thought it was a tear or a sprain in a tendon or ligament in my rotator cuff, although it could have been a trapped nerve, but I think it's a trapped nerve because my thumb, my pointy finger on my right hand and my
pointy finger, they all point. The
you
index,
don't point with that.
Index finger.
Right, please weigh in. Your pointy finger is not any finger. You don't point at somebody with your thumb. You don't point at somebody like that with your middle finger. Anyway, the ring finger on the other hand keeps going sort of numb, so I think it might be a trapped nerve. But my dad was here, that was good.
That was good. It was good to see Steve.
It was.
He's gone away back to his homeland now.
No, he's back in the UK now.
Watch out, people, he's back in the UK.
He is. Hold on to your pork pies.
And your Richmond sausages.
And your, oh my God, he probably won't listen to this, so I'm fine. My brother might, but the amount of boxes of Kipling's cakes he went through was wild. Every time we went to the shop, I'll just pick up 2 of these. And then at one point, he had these apple pies. Well, when he left, there was still 3 apple pies left. And I looked at them and I'm saying, these don't look like normal ones. And it turns out they were the reduced sugar ones. So he'd obviously decided that 10 Battenbergs in his mouth was fine. He needed the sugar of those. So yeah.
The reduced sugar ones are not great, actually.
No, they're not, Mr. Kipling. They are not.
I love the angel slices.
I like the angel slices, but I love mini Battenberg and Bakewell.
See, I'm not into a Battenberg. I don't like the marzipan.
I don't like the marzipan. Well, that's a little bit of a problem with the Battenberg.
Yeah.
I prefer the little ones, though. I feel the ratios of sponge and creamy, whatever it is.
I love the look of a Battenberg.
Oh, they're so pretty, aren't they?
Creams in it.
So we went to the Huntley Bird place.
The Falconry.
Yeah, sorry, I should say that. This is not an ad, but the Huntley Falconry Centre. It was brilliant. There was a bird I made friends with. He was a speckled owl called Douglas. And I follow this woman whose name I can't remember on all the socials. And she has parrots. And I'm obsessed with watching them. And one of them will do this thing with it'll lift one foot up and then the other like this. You can't see this, but like one at a time, up and down. And it'll go, bacon pancakes.
She was walking a bit like Frankenstein's monster, but in speeded up version.
If you remember back in the 80s, the advert for Harp, the beer, and there was the lizard and it went hot, 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 hot. It was like that. And he's very cute. So yeah, sort of fell in love with him. Got a terrible photo when the wing of a bird sort of grazed me and my back went into
He gave you a
spasms.
pimp hand. That bird pimp handed you in the face. Well, pimp winged.
Oh, I thought you meant I had a pimp hand.
No, like whoopah.
Anyway, it was really good. The Falconry Centre, can highly recommend it. Didn't tell you any information about it apart from about one bird, but there you go. They've got a cafe. We need to go because you should take your camera.
I'd love to go.
Oh, it's amazing.
I know that I'm going to end up buying dead mice, though.
Yeah, well, there's a story behind that. So apparently, if you live in like a rural area and you want to help with the
owl population,
you can buy... Oh, I don't know if I want to say this on here because people get upset with us, but you can buy a batch of deceased chicks. Oh, I feel really bad. I think we might have to cut this bit out. But you can buy them anyway and you leave them out and...
You can buy owl food.
Yeah, and the owls will come for them, and you only have to do it once or twice, and they start to look for it and wait for them, so then you get owls in your garden, and you're helping.
I love that. When I have my own place, I've got a bat box to go up as well.
Oh, I love
So I
bats.
love bats.
They skip. I don't like them flying about, but if one just wanted to land in my hand and give me a cuddle, I'd be happy.
I found one in my garden when I used to live in Woodbridge in Suffolk. I went to pick this thing up that was on the pavement, put it in the bin. I don't know what I thought it was, but it suddenly uncurled its wings. But it was the daytime, so when you find a bat during the day, you're meant to report it. So I actually phoned this guy. I saved him in my phone as Batman, obviously.
Obviously.
And he came, and I had to sign legal documentation to say that he could take it, that he could release it back into my garden and all this sort
Wait
of
a minute.
stuff.
What?
They're
Why are you
protected.
allowed to I know. No, I get that. But why are you giving him the permission to do that? You're not a bat lady.
I was responsible for the bat that I found.
You
I
were
think.
responsible.
Once
Exactly.
for 12 seconds. But I don't know if he ever did release it back into my garden, because I gave him permission to just enter and release it if he needed to. That sounded dodgy.
It did, entering and releasing it. Okay. How are you?
I'm all right. I've had a couple of weeks when my feet haven't touched the ground because I went down to London and Stansted for a day job conference. It was a massive, huge conference with lots of important politicians and police and social services and all that sort of thing. I work for an organisation called Restitute, and we support third-party victims of serious sexual and violent crimes.
You do.
And the conference was about falling through the cracks, or preventing people from falling through the cracks and being missed when crimes happen. And we all know that, I mean, me and you especially, from doing this and from other things, we know that a single crime will affect a lot more people than the primary victim.
That's why we
And
talk about it so much.
that's why we do. And so Restitute, we actually specialise in supporting the outer circle of victims.
The forgotten.
We've been mentioned in Parliament just yesterday. There was... I'm not going to say too much because it's all just talk at the moment, but MPs are talking about it, and it's part of the victims bill that they're looking at, that they are making changes to include the wider family.
Oh, good.
And there's big things happening. There's certainly big things happening.
I'm sure it's something that we can share when it's a bit further along.
Yeah, definitely. When there's something more concrete and it's not just jibber jabber. Definitely. So, but I went down there and it was a hugely successful day, but I did go there and back in 48 hours. And
yeah, and you had a really creepy Uber guy, didn't you? I'm going to bring it up because I think it's ridiculous.
yeah,
Who then, well, I'll not share Victoria's entire story, but basically took her phone number and contacted her.
well, they had my phone number to
Yeah,
contact me
but
about the cab, but he then took it and he's tried to call me since.
Yeah, and that is not appropriate. That's not on. So if that happens to you, please report it. I hope Victoria reported it to the company, but looking at her right now, I can see she hasn't. So I will get on to that.
You're not the boss of me.
We've been told that we jibber jabber a little bit too much, and we say to those people, so don't listen to this bit. I'm going to start being a little bit nicer, and I'll put a timestamp in if you don't want to hear all our wonderful information. I don't
Fast
know who
forward,
wouldn't
jibber
want to.
jabber.
Oh, sorry, I just got distracted because Hurricane Melissa live has just came up on my laptop.
Oh, gee whiz.
Telling me that Jamaica faces catastrophe as a storm to make landfall.
I'm dreading this. I've been looking a little bit at it, and they said it's so ginormous that it's going to affect both east and west at the same time.
Yeah,
which
but it's
is
going to affect...
huge. And I'm so sorry for all those people that just...
It's not going to affect us anywhere near as badly as it's affecting others, and that's...
What can you do?
Absolutely
What
nothing.
can they do?
Mother
Just
Nature is
bloody
pissed.
Hug your loved ones. And get drunk.
Kick the people you don't like.
Yeah.
Oh, we should...
Like a donkey kick. Like, "Arr."
You're so strange. Right, let's... We've been blathering along now for 9.5 minutes.
So, yeah.
So let's move on.
Let's move
Victoria, it is your week this week, so tell me, what is the crack?
Well, I'm going to tell you first about what I love about the transitional seasons. So I love, love, love autumn. And it's all starting to get all autumnal and lovely right now. And there's something whimsical about kicking through a carpet of fallen leaves, spinning sycamore seeds through the air like helicopters, which I still do because I'm a child. Splitting conkers under my boot, scrumping for apples, and feeling that crisp pull of fresh air in your lungs when the nights draw in and the weather is actually supposed to be cold. I love the sooty smells that drift from the chimney tops and the way the trees blaze in amber and gold beneath an evanescent sun.
I do love the colours at this time of year.
I just love getting out with my camera as well. It's brilliant. I enjoy Halloween too. I'm sat here with a trick-or-treat light behind me because...
And she's got on orange and black stripy tights.
I do. I don't like it for its religious roots because it was known as All Hallows Eve. And historically, this was the evening before the Christian feast of All Hallows Day, which was dedicated to honouring the dead, where people would light a candle in memory of those past, and it would sometimes involve other traditions that seemed to evolve along the way, and that would depend on where in the world you were recognising the occasion. For me, though, I've always enjoyed the mystical charm of Halloween. Even when I was little, just being allowed out after dark seemed so exciting to me. And I used to love dressing up to go out trick-or-treating. And then I loved taking Theo out, my son, when he was little too, but he's outgrown it now as well.
Boo! Hiss!
It was always just very innocent fun. When I was little, we never bought costumes. You'll probably remember this. We never bought costumes from a shop. I don't even remember them selling them. We were usually handed some claggy face paints and
there
a
was
black
that plastic
bin liner.
That plastic mask that everybody had, the witch one.
Yeah, a really thin, scratchy plastic that if you weren't careful, it would slice your face, yeah. But we'd be handed like a bin liner and some scissors and some tape. And most years my brother would turn his into a vampire's cape. And I always settled for being a scrappy bin bag clad little witch. We'd trot off into the night, sellotape holding our most magnificent ensembles together, and my dad would be lurking a few feet behind us, making sure we didn't scare the neighbours too much.
Lurking.
Halloween has definitely grown commercially in the UK since I was small, but I get the impression from movies and stuff that I've seen that Halloween in the States has always been massive, or for a long time anyway, it's been commercially huge, hasn't it? And I think I was even a little jealous of it when I was younger and I used to see these films. I wanted to experience like
it did
an
look
American
a lot bigger,
Halloween.
didn't it?
Especially like E.T. was out the year I was born, and I loved the scene in the street where there's loads and loads of kids just everywhere with their little costumes on. I don't remember the supermarkets even having pumpkins.
Don't think so either.
They definitely weren't like stacked high like they are now. Mind you, saying that, by the time I went to Tesco, they'd blooming sold most of them. They're all the squishy dead ones
You
left.
should have gone to the deli they had.
Of course, Halloween has its darker associations too, with whispers of the occult, devil worship, and macabre and sinister rituals. Horror movies often exploit those ideas, but who doesn't enjoy a good horror flick? For most kids, though, I think Halloween is about heading out guising. That's a word I learned from you.
Yes, it is.
Hanging out.
You might need to explain it, though.
Guising is...
Not everybody will know.
Oh, sorry. You should have listened to our first episode. Check episode 1. Guising is where you dress up.
Disguise.
It's
a Scottish word.
Disguise yourself. And you can be anything you want to be, really, and go out getting free sweets. Yummers. It's about hanging out with friends, escaping reality for an evening, and let's face it, the sweets are a big old Brucey bonus, aren't they? When my son was little, I would claim mum tax from his loot at the end of the evening.
Of course.
It's the law, isn't it? I think so,
I think so. If not, it should be.
Halloween is to most, and should be, about making your own traditions and having some simple, innocent fun. But Halloween in 1974, so 31st of October 1974 in Deer Park, Houston, Texas, the innocence of trick-or-treating took a chilling turn. 8-year-old Timothy O'Brien started the evening proudly dressed in his Planet of the Apes costume.
Oh.
I know. And excited to head out trick-or-treating in the local neighbourhood with his kid sister Elizabeth, who was just 5. His father Ronald had arranged to meet his friend Jimmy Bates and head out as a group along with Jimmy's children. The family started to form a plan and discuss which route they'd take as they ate dinner at the Bates house. But during dinner, the weather turned, and one of Jimmy's children said they didn't fancy heading out in the rain. But it was decided by the rest of the group that they would still go out, but they would just keep their route short, so they'd only go to 2 streets, which I think in America is still quite a lot, because I think everyone did Halloween, so it was, 2 streets.
Yeah, all the
2
houses
2 streets
decorated and...
Yeah.
It's a big deal, isn't it?
It is a big deal. So they went to Citation Street and Doneraile Street. They held out for a bit to see if the rain would stop before heading off, but it was getting late, the children were young, and they were really keen to get going, as you can imagine. If
Yeah,
they're
just want the
already
sweets.
Yeah.
Give me the sweets.
Give me the sweets. So off they went. The small group flitted out into the Dreek October night. Dreek. I put that in for you and I still did it wrong. So tell them what Dreek means.
Dreek is like miserable, basically.
Miserable, grey, rainy.
Yeah.
So they headed out into the October night, excitedly spilling from door to door, filling their booty bags with delicious candy. The adults had decided that one of them would stand on the pavement while the other chaperoned the child or children to knock at the doors.
Hang on. So who are the adults then? Because
The adults are Jimmy Bates.
I thought he wasn't going because one of his kids.
No.
didn't wanna go.
One of the kids was like, I don't want to go out in the rain, so they've stayed home with mum.
Oh, okay, so the two grown-up men are there.
Yeah,
Okay.
the two
Grown-up
dads
men,
have
two
taken
dads.
the grown-up men. They're never grown up. No, the two dads have taken the three children
Three
out.
children.
So yeah, it was agreed that one of them would stand by the pavement, the other one would go up to the doors whilst
Yep.
they knocked. As seemingly organised and responsible parenting.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
Yeah. So when the group reached 4112 Doneraile, the atmosphere changed. The house sat shrouded in darkness. The porch lights were off, and there was no sign that anyone was home. So you'd think they'd just pass it by, because I always think if there's no lit pumpkin or whatever, you pass it by. But
Well, I have to say that most years I hate answering the door. And so I just turn all the lights off, but they still knock. I put sweets out, like, take the sweets. They don't
Just leave
the
me
thing
alone.
is, well, they don't do a trick or anything for you anymore. If they would do a joke, but they're there for the cold hard candy.
some of them now can barely get the words trick or treat out. It's like they're too embarrassed to do it. Say trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something nice to eat, otherwise
You're not
get off
getting
my
nothing.
porch. Yeah. So Jimmy waited on the pavement as Ronald took the children to knock. They rapped on the door, but unsurprisingly, there was no answer, and the children almost instantly impatient. You can imagine, can't you?
Yeah, I don't understand why they've gone up to the door, but yeah.
They ran back to Mr. Bates, then skipped along to the next house because they're kids. They just want to get on with it.
Yeah.
Ronald lingered behind in the shadows of the house for half a minute or so before emerging from the porch, excitedly yielding a fistful of giant pixie sticks and childishly
no, I know this
announcing
story.
that the rich neighbours are handing out expensive treats.
Yeah, I know this case. Okay.
I thought you might. He distributed one to each of the children, holding on to one pixie stick for Jimmy's other child that had stayed home, and he still had one remaining, which would later be given to a child who he saw trick-or-treating and who Ronald recognised from the church where he was a deacon.
All right, okay.
Halloween night was already coming to an end now in Deer Park. The streets had gone quiet. People were blowing out their pumpkin lanterns or jack-o'-lanterns, and families were turning in after a bewitching evening of trick-or-treating. The two families, so the Bates and the O'Briens, also called it a night, and they returned to their homes. Back at the O'Brien house, the children, 8-year-old Timothy and his younger sister Elizabeth, were still buzzing. Once home, they changed out of their damp outfits, their costumes, and into their PJs. They spread their candy across the living room floor and began sorting through the night's haul. And I used to love doing that. Do you remember doing that? You came out with us a couple of times, didn't you?
Swapping the ones that that weren't your favourites. I mean, there was nothing you didn't like.
No. Apparently, though, kids now go for the potato. Have you
There's
heard
somebody
about
in
this?
Keith that gives out potatoes.
I remember going to one woman and she gave out toothbrushes, and I thought, oh, you're so funny.
Imagine how much toothbrushes for like all the kids in the area would cost as well.
I think this was when Tesco used to do them for like 9p for a toothbrush.
Ah, right,
Yeah.
okay. Get in the spirit of it, lady.
Their mother, Dane, which is spelt Dayne, now tired and ready for some shut-eye, allowed the children just one sweet each before bed. Timothy's father, Ronald, encouraged his son to pick up the giant pixie stick, which he'd been so proud to procure. It was a long plastic tube it was purple plastic, and it was flavoured sherbet, and every kid seemed to covet it. It was just...
What did we call them? Because we've got them, but I don't think they've ever had a name.
See, I think we had the teeny tiny
No,
ones
we
that
had
were
the big
paper.
ones. No, we had the big ones as well. And like it's like a plasticky stuff, and it's fluorescent. The colours are usually fluorescent. You still get them now, and they're about that long.
I want one.
That long is the length between my index finger on one hand to my index finger on the other hand.
About the same size as a carp.
A what?
A carp.
I thought you said a carb, but you get little carps. You get babies.
It was a joke.
Oh.
At first, Timothy managed to swig a small mouthful of sherbet, but then the boy struggled to get the sugary crystals loose, so his father, Ronald, took the tube, rolling it between his palms before handing it back. Timothy opened the tube, tilted his head back. Eager for the rush of sugar, he poured a big swash of pixie dust into his mouth, but instead of the sweet, fruity taste he was expecting, he frowned. "It tastes bad," he said. His father handed him some Kool-Aid to wash it down, but within moments Timothy was doubled over in pain. He said, "Daddy, Daddy, my tummy hurts," as he dashed to the bathroom and began vomiting violently. What happened next was a parent's worst nightmare. Ronald held his son by the waist as the boy's small body convulsed and his breathing grew shallow. By the time the ambulance crew arrived, Timothy had lost consciousness. The medics asked Ronald to explain the circumstances, but while attempting to piece things together, Ronald excused himself twice to go to the bathroom, claiming he was also ill. Curiously, though, he refused any treatment. He did, however, remember to inform them of the origin of the pixie sticks. He told the paramedics that the sweets had come from a household in the same area that his friend Jimmy Bates lived. The ambulance crew worked fast. They rushed the child to the local suburban hospital, but within an hour, doctors could do no more for the 8-year-old boy. Timothy O'Brien was pronounced dead before midnight on the 31st of October 1974.
Oh, that's so sad.
It's terrible. In response to this tragedy, Ronald O'Brien beat the wall and asked questions out loud why an 8-year-old boy had to die. From the scraps of information they'd been given, hospital staff were already suspicious as to the cause of the small boy's sudden illness and consequent death. So when tests revealed that fluids from Timothy's stomach contained 16 milligrams of cyanide, and a blood test showed the level of cyanide in Timothy's blood to be 0.4 milligrams, their suspicions were confirmed, and they realised they were likely dealing with a homicide, so the police were called.
Cyanide is an awful way to die, and thinking about a little kid like that and somebody knowingly doing that on purpose is just
8 years old.
Awful.
So a fatal dose of cyanide in humans would show in blood from levels between 0.2 and 0.3, and he had 0.4, and that fatal dose is for adult humans. Yeah. And he was 0.4, and he is a little 8-year-old.
Boy.
News of the child's death and reports of poisoned Halloween candy spread rapidly throughout the neighbourhood. Understandably, worried parents confiscated their children's treats, with some even turning them over to the police for inspection. Ronald O'Brien helped officers locate the remaining 4 pixie sticks, thankfully before any other children were harmed, although it was a really close call from the boy that he'd seen from his church.
Yeah, the one that he just handed,
When the police approached his parents, they were reportedly hysterical when they couldn't find the sweet. They rushed to their son's bedroom to find him asleep, clutching the giant pixie stick, and apparently he'd not been able to get it open and fell asleep with it in his hand.
They were quite difficult to open. I think scissors was what you would need. Thank God.
I know. All 5 of the pixie sticks, including the one that Timothy had partly ingested, were sent to Dr. Jakimchik for examination. Now here's the science bit. Pathologist Dr. Jakimchik, who also performed the autopsy on Timothy and determined cyanide poisoning as the cause of death, had now examined the pixie sticks too. His findings were alarming, and it seems pretty bonkers to me, and I'm actually quite looking forward to your reaction to what I'm about to tell you, because I can imagine what your reaction is going to be.
Oh, God.
Upon examination, it was noted that one end of the pixie sticks was properly heat sealed. You know, they were pressed, weren't they, with heat. However, the other end...
tampered with.
The other end was secured.
Oh, no, what with?
A staple.
What?
I'm sorry, I knew your reaction was...
Hang on. A staple.
A staple.
I mean, it's not somebody playing with a full deck that's put these together, is it? And did the dad who got these sticks not realise?
I know, exactly. It's just...
That's some hinky candy.
Staple.
A staple.
But who goes, oh, that's weird, it's done up with it, I'm going to eat that anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to let my kids have this.
Yeah. The pixie sticks were 21 inches in length.
Wait, so I wonder what end Timothy's was opened from then, because surely, maybe if they came out the bag, and they're really long, so maybe if they came out and you picked it up by the end that was heat sealed, maybe you would think, okay, but there's the luck of the draw. You would have to hand it in a certain way to somebody to get them to put it in the... Okay, continue.
Yeah. So these were 21 inches long, purple plastic. We are still talking about pixie sticks. The pixie stick that Timothy had partly consumed was missing approximately 4 inches of the contents, and so this is all still part of this forensic test. So
wait a minute as well. Sorry, I'm interrupting again. But his dad had it in his hand to loosen the sherbet as well. Okay.
Yes, he did. So the chemical analysis of what remained in Timothy's pixie stick actually found no trace of cyanide.
Okay.
However, chemical analysis of the remaining 4 pixie sticks revealed lethal amounts of cyanide concentrated in the first 2 inches of the candy tube.
Somebody's opened it up, poured it out, put that in, and then stapled the end.
Yeah.
Oh, but then...
And the amount found in each remaining tube was enough to kill 2 fully grown adults. That's in each tube.
So did...
There was enough of a dose in each
I get
tube.
that.
Like,
so, yeah.
But, yeah, so Timothy had swallowed 4 inches. Obviously, some of it sherbet, some of it cyanide.
So the cyanide had worked its way... Did he get it at the end? The cyanide was administered, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So
he opened it at the staple end,
or
was handed it with it open.
Opened. Ah, right, okay.
So he didn't necessarily open it himself, but...
Okay.
While these forensic investigations were happening, Ronald was questioned repeatedly by police about which house the candy had come from. It was obviously extremely important to determine the origin of the lethal poison as quickly as possible. The police and the boy's father walked the route 3 times, but Ron consistently avoided giving a direct answer and actually gave conflicting information about what had occurred on All Hallows Eve. He did this for days until finally directing police to 4112 Doneraile. He claimed that he hadn't seen clearly who handed out the treats because it was dark, but that a hairy man's arm had passed them through the small crack in the door. He later pointed Courtney Melvin out in a crowd, saying he was almost positive that Mr. Melvin was the one giving out the candy.
From his arm?
From his arm. From a hairy arm in a dark crack of a door.
Dude, we know you lying.
We know you lying.
We know you lying.
Mr. Melvin and his family did reside at 4112 Doneraile.
Did he have something against him?
However, Courtney Melvin worked as an air traffic controller and was not home until late on Halloween. He had left the house at 1:30 in the afternoon, worked until 10:30 and returned home at approximately 10:45.
Ah.
This information was easily confirmed to be true by his employers, and get this, over 200 people that saw him at work that day.
You picked the wrong house, dude. But you have to think about this. At Halloween, you can buy those fake arms. So what if somebody bought a fake arm, covered it in hair...
It was not me. It was the one-armed man.
Oh, what's that from again?
It's from The Fugitive and The Mask.
I've had this conversation recently.
I think we've had this conversation recently.
I think we did, yeah.
Both Courtney and his wife said there were no callers after 10:45 when he'd returned home.
Oh, wait, so were they ready for Halloween? Were they ready for geysers at all?
Because I'll tell you in a second, yeah.
Oh.
So Mrs. Melvin had been home earlier in the evening with her children, and they were on candy duty.
Ah.
But they said their supplies had run out at about 6:45, so they'd switched off the porch lights and simply didn't answer the door after that time. And they claimed they had not seen Mr. O'Brien, Mr. Bates, or any of the accompanying children.
And none of the children in the Melvin household had hairy arms.
No.
Okay. Sorry, I'm making a joke of it. It's not funny.
I know, yeah. Furthermore, they said that they'd not handed out any pixie sticks. In fact, police went door to door around the entire route that Timothy had taken and not found a single household distributing the giant pixie sticks.
You wouldn't, because to spend the money on a load of them rather than just buying like little bags of Haribo, the multi-packs of like little Mars bars and things like that, you're not going to waste money. Nobody's handing out one of them to everybody.
I think it was all candy corn and lollipops in America, wasn't it? I don't know.
And Peeps.
It's just...
That little marshmallow things. What? Marshmallow Peeps. I'll show you them after the episode, but
I don't know what they are, but I want them.
I don't think you do. People say they're gross.
I love Starbrights.
What's a Starbright?
And they're just peppermints, but they're like the white peppermints with little red bits around the side. And you can only get them in America. And I've looked and looked and I can't find any. And I love them.
If anybody would like to send us them, get in touch.
And I love black cherry blow pops.
You can't go too far.
I'm just going to tell you all the American sweets. Send me American candy. I love it. Because Dad was in the forces and we used to have the American shop.
PX.
Yeah, the branch exchange. So
That's where we got warheads from to begin
that
with.
was where we got warheads and all that yummy stuff.
Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, sorry. The Melvins were quickly ruled out anyway of having any involvement, but as a result of all of this, the focus of the police investigations and their suspicions swayed towards Mr. O'Brien himself. Now, I was unable to find much concrete information about the actual investigation that unfolded in the days after Timothy's death, but it's clear that the police worked tirelessly to connect the dots and had soon gathered enough evidence to make an arrest.
I mean, he hadn't done the best job, really,
Not
had
a
he?
clever bean.
Not at all.
Ronald O'Brien, Timothy's father, was taken into custody on the 5th of November 1974, a date he wasn't likely to ever forget. Ba-da-ba-bum.
I've missed the date.
Remember the 5th of November.
Oh,
She's so bloody slow.
God, sorry, it's my back. I've got my heat pad on and I'm sort of half asleep.
Oh, and this November...
I feel so stupid.
You are. It's okay, though. You're allowed to have an off day. But this, you'll like this. This November, the 5th, coming up, there will be a full beaver moon.
What's a beaver moon?
It's the largest and brightest supermoon of the year.
But that's sort of the opposite, because the beaver's at the front and the moon's at the back, so I'm not getting this.
Oh, I'm looking forward to the beaver moon. It's going to be fun. Anywho, back to the case. A press conference was hastily called where it was announced that the boy's father, now suspected of filicide, was being held under a $100,000 bond. However, Detective Captain Rhodes refused to discuss what had led to the arrest of Mr. O'Brien. He was quoted in the New York Times saying, "Obviously, we and the District Attorney's Office felt there was sufficient evidence at this time for a charge to be filed. And believe you me, by the time the case went to court, the investigators had established a huge amount of incriminating evidence."
Yeah, because obviously at the time, the locals wouldn't have known the reasons, so they would have thought, oh, this is a bit weird, why is the dad getting taken in? From what we already know, well,
they
it's
really
obvious
quickly,
he did
they
it.
talked to a lot of people, and people were not backwards in coming forwards.
Good.
Yeah.
You can't be in these cases.
Definitely not. In the autumn, so it goes back a bit here, it goes back a year. So in the autumn of 1973, Ronald O'Brien had moved his family into a rented townhouse in Deer Park. He was employed as an optician by Texas State Optical, which is referred to as TSO, taking home roughly $150 a week. His CV was a bit of a patchwork of jobs which varied from insurance sales to working within a chemical company. Nothing which had provided financial stability.
Okay.
He had a reputation for not being able to keep a job and had actually had 21 jobs since 1964.
Gee whiz.
I know, that's tons. 10 years and he'd had 21
his
jobs.
CV must have been like a rainforest worth.
Yeah. They call it a resume, don't they?
They do, and they've started using the word resume over here, and I hate it.
Shortly before moving his family to the rental, O'Brien had sold the family home for $6,000, which he used to pay off some debts, but he still owed a substantial amount. So some
Why?
sources stated that he owed more than $100,000, which would be around $650,000.
Yeah, because if your house
Today?
is worth 6k,
Yeah.
what was he spending it on then?
We
don't know.
We don't know. He was drowning in debt, though. He'd fallen behind on his car payments. He was facing threats of repossession.
I mean, what was he driving?
I don't know. Sorry, I keep making my lips fart. He'd been refused. He'd been refused loans as well. He'd asked for loans from work. He'd asked for advances. It was all no. And
Is there a life insurance policy on this kid?
He wasn't hiding it either. He was talking about it quite a lot, and he'd even borrowed money from colleagues. There were rumours he'd been stealing from his workplace, and there were rumours that he was on the cusp of getting sacked from this job too.
I'm really angry right now because,
I know, sorry.
He killed his own kid. Did he intend to kill his daughter as well? He handed them out to strangers as well, and his mate's kid. This guy, I hope he's rotting in hell right now. I'm angry.
I bet you are. I'm angry too.
This is why I don't let my kids go out and do stuff, because of fucking lunatics like this.
I know.
How dare they? Sorry, I'm really, I might need a minute to calm down.
In January 1974, he had joined something called the New Outlooks Club. This was a scheme run by the Pasadena State Bank where you would pay a small monthly membership fee, and by signing up, each member of your family would automatically be covered by a nominal life insurance policy of $10,000 each. This included the children, and I think you'll see a very sad and pitiful motive.
Yeah, I can see it right there. But when you first said the New Outlook Club, I thought, cult.
No, not a cult, no.
So killed his kids for money.
Yeah.
Thought you'd get away with it.
It's awful. People that kill for money, even when it's strangers, that's bad enough.
Killing,
money as any motive is bad.
But to kill an innocent child that's done nothing to you, and it's your child, how do you not I just don't understand. Knowing how you feel as soon as your child's born and you look at them, knowing that level of love, I don't understand how people can kill their kids. There's something mentally wrong with people that do that.
Yeah. I mean...
And I'm really sad now. And they never get away with it. How did he didn't even cover his tracks, so...
He was thick as two short planks. Absolutely ridiculously stupid and vocal. So Dane, Ron's wife, objected to him signing up for this scheme. She felt that their already tight budget was stretched thinly enough. And anyway, she saw no sense in acquiring life insurance for her young children. Because why would you?
There's something wrong with that, isn't there?
Yeah. Ronald clearly had other ideas because by October 1974, he had taken out multiple life insurances for his children.
Did she know then? No,
nope.
Poor
These
woman.
were purchased against the advice given by his insurance agent and without his wife's knowledge or consent. But apparently that wasn't needed, and I think that is absolutely atrocious. I think if you're insuring anyone, that person should consent for a start. And if even if it's a child, but then the other parent, definitely there should be. It shouldn't be down to one person.
Medical insurance, anything can happen. So if you can. We don't do it in this country because thankfully we have the NHS and don't need to.
We've spoken about it in another case, haven't we?
Medical insurance is one thing. That's clever, that's forward thinking, like God forbid anything happens to your kid. But to take out life insurance on a child, because the whole point of life insurance, as we discussed last time, was so that if either of the people who make money for the home come to any harm or are injured, then you're covered. It's not, oh, I need some money fast.
No.
And let's face it, he's just going to spend it the way he spent everything else anyway.
And this guy that's all about buying life insurance policies, curiously, didn't have any for himself.
Because he couldn't get a job and keep it, probably.
The amount, if collected, of each life insurance policy would, curiously, total approximately $100,000. The amount of debt he had.
I heard that figure, yes.
And police learned that the very morning, this is horrible, the very morning after Timothy's death, so November the 1st... He was on the
phone trying to get it.
He had contacted his insurance company to inquire about collecting the policy money, but not only that, he had spoken with the funeral director, who informed him that he would need a separate death certificate to claim each insurance policy, so he ordered 6.
That's disgusting.
So that says he had 6 life insurance on Timothy.
I know I said to you before, I've heard this case before, I didn't remember it was the dad, and I didn't remember that you had done that, but I can see these people coming because this is what they do.
It's disgusting.
Laurie Vallow,
absolutely disgusting.
For example, was on the phone, and you can actually hear her call to the insurance company where she finds out that her husband had made his sister the beneficiary and not Laurie.
You've got to take a closer look at the insurance companies aren't going to, though, are they?
If
They're making money.
There should be a system that flags up why has somebody got 6 policies on a child. Yeah.
But the insurance companies won't, because it's a business. They're making money.
They're overworked. They don't have time to do these due diligence, Victoria.
So poor Timothy is barely cold. His wife and daughter and extended family are shattered by grief. And all this bloke is thinking about is get the money. O'Brien was already discussing how he was going to spend the policy money. This is days after, like in the hours after even. Witnesses testified that while he appeared devastated, so Jimmy was one of them, witnesses testified that while he appeared devastated at the loss of his son in public, once behind closed doors, he showed little sign of genuine grief or sorrow at all.
Was it his biological child?
Yep. Jimmy Bates recalled Ronald saying he didn't see how they could, this is quote, they could pin Timothy's death on anybody. And this was a remark that struck those closest to the victim as deeply detached and heartless.
Yeah, because you would be saying, we need to find out who did this.
Not, they'll never prove who did this. That's weird.
Let's move on and spend this money. Hey kids, want to go to Disneyland?
Yeah. So the poison itself, this is about how he sort of tried to procure that. Ronald had been not clever at all or cunning in trying to procure the potassium cyanide. In August 1974, he asked the manager at the opticians where he worked if he could obtain cyanide for cleaning gold frames on the glasses. This was a highly unusual request, as cyanide hadn't been used in the industry for decades. I didn't know it ever was, to be honest, but...
Probably when they found out how dangerous it was, it stopped.
Yeah. Around 3 weeks later, this is really bizarre, so he'd been told no, but around 3 weeks later, Ron bizarrely made the same request again, and this time the branch manager sent it up the chain, probably thinking,
Good.
What a nutter.
Yeah.
And the request was denied again, which is
wait, sent it up the chain? I thought you meant he reported this guy is asking for this.
He reported it to the manager reported it, so the branch manager reported it to the superiors.
That it was suspicious that he was asking for this, not, can he have this cyanide?
No,
right,
that
okay,
it was all denied, and it's just weird behaviour. And he wasn't, this was another thing, he wasn't hiding any of it. He was being really blatant about talking about it,
so he was
searching for it. And in early September, Ronald reached out to Bobby Terry, a former co-worker from the Arco Chemical Company who was still employed there. O'Brien fabricated a story about taking a chemistry course in college, and he claimed that the instructor lacked knowledge about the different types of cyanide. The two discussed the various forms of cyanide and how easily it could be obtained. Ron then asked where he might purchase some, and Bobby referred him to several chemical suppliers, including Curtin Matheson Scientific Company. Finally, feigning curiosity, Ronald inquired about the dosage of cyanide that would be lethal to a person and what tests might be used to detect such chemicals in a body after death.
I mean, even before the test, the symptoms that the kid had, anybody in an ER, a doctor would be
know poison.
Yeah, this is poison.
Yeah. Back at his job at TSO, so the opticians, Ron was still continuing to talk about the cyanide and the use of it within the industry. He was having conversations that began turning darker as well, and he started discussing the more macabre and lethal aspects.
Obsessed with what he was about to do.
But also he was discussing it with people that were having their specs adjusted. They'd come in to get their specs, and he was talking about cyanide and how it was lethal and how dangerous.
It's obviously all he could think about.
Yeah.
Poor kid.
So, just before Halloween, O'Brien visited the Curtin Matheson chemical outlet. That was the one that the other guy had mentioned.
Surely this is a place that you arrange an appointment and have to have a valid reason to be there.
In a perfect world.
No, not in a perfect world. That's not perfect. That's the lower limit of the standards, surely.
It should be.
For cyanide.
It should be. The salesperson, David Lee Jackson, was told that he wanted to buy a small amount, but... it was a £5 container, so the smallest amount they sold was a £5 container, and apparently Ronald was more focused on the price. He just wanted the cheapest option, so he wasn't even looking for the good quality stuff, he just wanted the cheapest.
Oh, so he was okay that if it wasn't pure enough, his kid could have ended up in a vegetative state. He was okay with that as well.
He just wanted to spend as little money on as much as he could get undetected, basically. But he did leave that place without making a purchase.
So he didn't buy from that guy?
He didn't buy from that guy because he didn't want a £5 container that cost a load of money.
I hope whoever he bought it from got some sort of... No? Okay.
Unfortunately, the police never established where the poison he eventually used was purchased. They discovered physical evidence within the O'Brien household when they searched that, including scissors with plastic residue of the Pixie Sticks tubes, a pocket knife with melted wax. It said lilac wax-like plastic, obviously from the tube again, and sugar crystals.
Yeah, because what would cyanide do to the plastic?
I don't know.
Sorry, I
don't know if it would do anything.
Because that might be because of that. It might have melted a bit.
I just assumed it was where he was trying to... I don't know whether
seal it initially.
Yeah. That's what, in my brain, he'd tried to do. Also, this one's a bit weird. So... Ron was seen in the car park. This is an eyewitness statement said that Ron was seen in the car park where he worked on the afternoon of the 31st of October, carrying a stapler and a bag with unknown contents. And I thought that seems a bit odd, but you probably would remember if somebody was
You
carrying a
definitely
stapler
remember
around a
that.
car
You'd be like,
park.
why has that person got a stapler? It was like the time that I was in Edinburgh on a bus with a fish in a tiny little vase. I was taking him home, Arthur.
A real fish?
Yeah, so one of the girls that worked for me was going back to Australia. She'd been there for a year, and she'd bought a fish, and his name was Arthur, and she asked if I would take him. So I said yeah, and she just rocked up at work after work one day
in a
with a fish
vase?
in a vase that was about not much bigger than a teacup, and I had a sit on an Edinburgh bus going home with the fish in it.
Did you talk to Arthur on the bus journey?
Of course I did.
I knew you would.
Because he was probably scared.
It was probably his first time on a bus. Aww.
Well, given
did he
that
have to pay? Did you have to buy him a ticket?
No, I didn't have to buy him a ticket, but I'm not sure it would have been his first time, because if she's going to bring it to me in a vase there, who knows? Maybe she carried him about all the time. He was a seasoned traveller.
Maybe. I suppose you take your dog out on a lead. I used to have a friend that took a guinea pig out on a lead.
Yeah?
Yeah. And I've seen people with chickens on leads.
Yeah, I saw a chicken on a lead. I think it might have been in a reel, actually. I can't remember.
I was just thinking they should have probably charged you a ticket price.
Why? It was. I only had one seat.
Yeah, I suppose.
Nobody
Yeah.
else wanted to sit near me, though, so...
Crazy lady with the fish in a vase.
Yeah.
I had to buy George a ticket when we went on the steam train. When we went, from... Where is it?
Aviemore to Boat Garden.
Yeah, Aviemore. And it was such beautiful. We went on the Christmas time one, and... Yeah, I had to buy George. I've still got her little ticket somewhere.
That's so cute.
I know. And we had mince pies and mulled wine. George didn't. She had crumbs because she's not allowed fruit, but...
And she's a recovering alcoholic, so...
Yeah, so she couldn't have the vino. But yeah, it was lovely. I'd love to do that again.
Anyway.
Back to the case. Dane O'Brien, so that's the mum, took to the stand to give evidence. She recalled that roughly 2 weeks prior to Halloween, her husband had arrived home with costumes for the children, and that made her curious because he'd never been particularly bothered about Halloween before.
What a surprise. He never showed an interest in his kids up until then.
Yeah. Jimmy Bates, so that was the friend who'd gone trick-or-treating with him.
Whose son he tried to poison,
Yeah. Told the court about a conversation just before Halloween that he'd been asked not to repeat to Dane. The conversation was about Ronald buying a new house.
Okay.
So even though he was drowning in debt. On the 23rd of October, Ronald had informed the Medical Branch Credit Union that he was due a large sum of money before the end of the year, and so he signed an agreement extending his arrears payments until January 1975. When Dame was questioned about this, she said she had no reason to expect a large sum of money. O'Brien testified on his own behalf and denied guilt, but others brought in as character witnesses testified that he had a reputation for being untruthful. Burn.
Liar,
I mean,
liar.
obviously he's, yeah.
But
I
yeah,
just
we've-
love
we've-
that
we've
they.
got
I
that.
love that the character witnesses came in and said, no, he's full of shit.
Yeah, he's a liar.
An urban legend was one of the defence arguments used in this case, and Ronald O'Brien claimed he was innocent and it was a mad poisoner who done it.
A mad poisoner who did nothing else.
O'Brien's arrest had shocked his neighbourhood and the church community because
course
remember
it
he
would.
was a deacon and he was in the church choir.
Oh, I thought it was the friend that was the deacon.
No, it was him. He was a deacon.
My God.
So that's why he'd recognised the little was.
And what, he disliked this kid or thought, oh, maybe his parents have got
I did think, why give that? Knowing what's in there, why?
It probably so that when it did come out, he thought, oh, they will look at me, but then I wouldn't have gave it
It'll
to
be
somebody
other
else.
kids in the neighbourhood. They don't know I've seen that kid tonight.
No, I just think it would have been more like, well, either it could muddy the waters of where it came from, or it could have been, fair enough if I only want to kill my kid, but why would I put somebody else's kids at risk? That's what I think.
Yeah. The trial for he was nicknamed the Candy Man and the Man Who Killed Halloween.
I wish they wouldn't give them these names because it glorifies
it
them.
does. It received national media attention, as you can imagine. On June the 3rd, 1975, a Harris County jury took only 45 minutes to reach a decision and convicted O'Brien of the capital murder of his 8-year-old son Timothy. He was sentenced to death by electric chair. He went on to appeal his conviction multiple times without success and was eventually executed by lethal injection. I don't know why it switched. Maybe they didn't do the chair anymore. I don't know. I don't know when that stopped.
yeah.
I should have probably looked that up. But he was injected on March the 31st, 1984. The chaplain from the prison claimed that his time on death row was miserable and said he was absolutely friendless. He was shunned for killing his child.
You know what? I don't agree. I'm not going to get into politics of it, but I don't agree with the death penalty. However, if it's happened and it's in the past, I ain't going to shed no tears, and I don't care if he's got no friends. Boo fucking who? What about your kid who didn't grow up to get to have any more friends?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah. Boo. Done.
Yeah.
Timothy's mother, Dane, and sister Elizabeth had stayed out of the public eye for the 9 years or so after Ronald was sentenced and before the execution.
Yeah.
And around the time of the execution, Dane said, "I'm glad it's coming to an end." She added, "I don't think Ronald is sick or insane, but he is perverted."
Oh.
Over the years, Elizabeth, who was 15 years old at the time of the execution, had been her mother's greatest priority. They both felt the emptiness in their hearts which had been left after Timothy's death. And it must have been complex for the girl as well, because she was 5. She had lost a father.
But also, he had allowed her to have one of those pixie sticks, so she knows that he would have killed her with no second thought.
Around 6 months before the scheduled execution date, Elizabeth had asked to visit her father on death row. This is something which her mother had forbidden. Dane said she had no ties to him. I think she has struggled through that, but she accepts the fact that he intended to kill her too. We refer to him in this house as Ronald. He is her biological father only and nothing more. Dane had visited her husband in jail weekly before the trial, but had no question of his guilt afterwards.
Oh, so she stood by him initially thinking he hadn't done it?
Yeah,
she
tried to believe him, but Dane remembered that shortly before Timothy's death, I think she was really tormented in her mind because she remembered Ronald quoting a story from the Bible about how Abraham must have felt having to sacrifice his only son.
Oh, yeah, because she wouldn't have known all the information.
No.
It must be really difficult if you've got somebody who you love sitting in front of you telling you they haven't done it.
Yeah. And she said he would sob. She'd go in there and he would sob and say he's innocent and it was some mad poisoner, and he kept saying this, it was some mad,
Then I do think that the prosecution would have been speaking to her a lot. There should be something that they can say, look, we do have evidence, we can't tell you what the evidence is now, because that's not fair.
Yeah. Yeah, they should be allowed to assure you that they've, it's in hand and they do know.
They got this.
Yeah. Dane also believed that she was actually the original intended victim.
Oh, why?
So her husband had made an appointment with an insurance broker to buy a policy for her, but when they realised the price of the premiums and they couldn't afford them, the meeting was cancelled. So she thinks she was
and I bet
the
she
initial.
I bet she wishes that's what happened. Because...
I bet she does, yeah. She divorced O'Brien shortly after he was sentenced. I'm glad to say this. She remarried after 5 years or so, and her new husband adopted Elizabeth.
Oh,
so that's really lovely.
Well, I hope he's a nice guy.
Now, Dane never cashed the $31,000 life insurance policy and labelled it blood money.
Why would
She's
you?
She's never cashed it, so...
It's... No.
There are snippets of news coverage of the trial, just little snippets that I found, and I'll share them on our page like we do. But that's pretty much that. So what began as a harmless Halloween tradition had turned into a real-life horror story. We've all heard chilling tales of razor blades hidden inside Halloween treats or chocolate bars laced with poison, yet most of us dismiss these as urban legends, the product of overactive imaginations rather than genuine threats to our children. Still, the origins of most urban legends and fairy tales we know have some element of truth about them. They're cautionary messages rooted in real danger, warnings we might be wise to heed more carefully. But tragically, even the age-old advice of don't take sweets from strangers wouldn't have saved poor Timothy because, as in so many cases of homicide and abuse, it's the people closest to the victims who are responsible.
That's the thing, though. We do teach them, and that's another reason mine have hard. I think they've been trick-or-treating maybe twice. I might sound like a complete bitch for that, but we teach them not to talk to strangers. We teach them not to take things, and then one night a year we're like, it's a free-for-all.
Yeah, go ask them for stuff.
All it takes as well is for one person to say to a kid, the bucket's nearly empty. Can you just come in and help me carry the sweets out? And then that's it, your kid's gone. That case is, I've heard it before. As I say, I'd forgotten that the father was the one who was the perpetrator. But sort of at the stage that I get now, and I see it coming with the stories. I can tell what's going to happen because there's so many of these people about. And people who are not into true crime think, oh, but that's like a random one-off sort of thing. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But it does happen, and I have this argument with people when I don't let my kids go and do things. Well, it's unlikely to happen. Well, I'd rather it was not likely to happen. It's not going to happen. If you could tell me that 100%, but you can't about anything. It's not safe for them.
No. And when I was researching that one as well, I was looking to see if I could find an actual case where a stranger had killed somebody with poisoned sweets, and I couldn't find anything about that.
There's the Tylenol murder.
There are other cases.
Yeah.
And it's always somebody that's known to the family, but that doesn't... There's going to be a first time. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
It might have happened, though, and it's just not been picked up on, because there will be situations where either they think it must be somebody close to the family, or they don't realise that's where it's came from. All it takes is for a toxicology report not to be done, not to realise that's why a person died. Now, that hopefully in kids that should never happen, but things do go under... People are murderers, and we've never heard of the victim because it's not been put down as a victim, and we never
or they've
hear
never
about
been
them.
found, or...
Yeah. It's a scary world out there, folks. You have to be careful. And for me, I see people, I'm not going to parent shame, but I see people doing things and I think, what are you actually on? You have no idea where your child is right now. You've let them have alcohol when they shouldn't have it, and now they're away out in the middle of nowhere and you've got no idea, and you're the one that's going to be crying and screaming all over social media if something happens to your child, but you've got as much responsibility for that as the person that did it.
Yeah, and they're the first ones to victim shame.
Yep.
When something happens to somebody else. Like the amount of times I've heard, well, I wouldn't have let my child do that. Mm-hmm. That's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense.
I think there's a difference in that, because there is things that I won't let my child do. But one, there's a time and a place to say it, and two, there's things
and
like...
And Facebook is not it. When there's when there's an actual news story about somebody who's lost a child, don't go blaming the parent.
Yeah, and that's not what I was saying. What I'm saying is things that our kids have free bus passes. So from the age of 12 in Scotland, letting your child have alcohol and then just letting them go out the door off onto a bus and you don't know where they are. I'm sorry, but I would not let my child do that, because my child would not be drinking alcohol for a start. Letting them go to parties or sleepovers or just leaving them places, you've got no idea where they are. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Doesn't mean the person deserves if something happens. I'm not saying they deserve what happened to their child, but I'm saying you've got part to blame for that, and you must know you've got part to blame for that.
Yeah.
If people don't like it, then I'm not going to apologise for it, because your child is supposed to be the most precious thing in your life, and you're just playing willy-nilly with it and not keeping it safe. Thank you very much for listening, and just ignore the dog in the background.
And keep talking to us, keep letting us know if you're enjoying it, keep recommending cases, because there have been a couple of recommendations that have been wonderful. Oh, Gemma's got her hand up.
Because I totally forgot, I wanted to shout out one of our newest listeners, Jamie McHale. Thank you very much, Jamie. You gave me a case recommendation, and you did the first Apple review for us. So guys, please send in your reviews, share,
follow us.
Not in real life. We've covered this.
Yeah.
Neither of us would notice if we were being followed anyway, to be perfectly honest. We'd be, unless you've got a My Little Pony in your hand. Anyway, thank you and bye.
Keep on trucking.